I'm back and I'm stuffed. I had the opportunity to go to Vietnam last week and I tried to eat myself through the country. Today I'm going to tell you about some of the favorite things that I had and a couple that, well, left kind of a bad taste in my mouth. Hello and welcome to I Want to Cook. My name is Chef Matt and this channel is all about helping you be a better cook. Now, normally I'd be showing you a recipe or I'd be demonstrating how some kitchen tool works. Today we're doing something a little bit different because last week was a little bit different for me. I had the opportunity to go to Vietnam because of my job. And as I've said in past videos, my day job is as an automotive journalist. And I had the chance to go to Vietnam with a company called VinFast that is introducing a new electric vehicle. Now, I've been to Asia before. I've been to Japan a couple times. I've been to South Korea a couple times. But this was my first opportunity to go to Vietnam and I was stoked. It was a jam-packed trip. We started in the north of the country in Ha Long Bay. We went all the way south to Nha Trang. It was quite a trip. Now, there's one big caveat to this and all the food that I got to eat. Unfortunately, I didn't get to try any street food. I know that Vietnam is just crazy famous for its street food. I hope to be back and try it. But because I was on a business trip and I kind of had to go where they told me to go, I was eating primarily at hotels, restaurants, whatnot. But still the food was absolutely amazing. So let's start with all the things that I liked, and it actually began before I even got to the country. It was actually on the plane. It was a very long trip. It was like almost 17 hours to get there. We left from San Francisco, and like I said, we flew into an airport near Ha Long. That's in the north of Vietnam. Anyways, we ate quite a bit on the plane, but it was actually the breakfast meal that was the best. And it was like this oatmeal pancake sort of thing, but it was baked. And I never had something like that outside of like, you know, a granola type bar. And it was delicious. And it's something that I want to try. I eat oatmeal a lot, but this baked oatmeal like pancake thing with like a creme anglaise was really, really good. And I hope to replicate it and maybe even cook something like it on this channel. The next thing is called butterfly flower tea. And no, I never heard of this stuff either, but this was like some sort of concoction that we had when we got to the first hotel, this resort in Ha Long. And it was so good. It was so refreshing. These butterfly flowers allegedly have all sorts of health benefits, including like an aphrodisiac effect. I don't know, if it's true or not, but all I do know is that it was delicious and super refreshing. The second thing that really stood out, and you're probably going to guess this, was coffee. Vietnamese coffee is absolutely amazing. It can be drank hot or cold, and they use like this little like Vietnamese coffee maker, and they use condensed milk. As you can see, I've got some things here because I kind of want to replicate some of my favorite things from the trip, and this stuff was some of the best coffee I'd ever had. I think in their version they actually put a little bit of honey at the bottom, so it was even more sweet. It was so good. If you've never tried Vietnamese coffee before and you like coffee, do yourself a favor and try it. It's intense, it's sweet, it's unctuous, it's absolutely delicious. And of course, if you think of Vietnamese food, you probably think of pho. That is the noodle soup. It is just wonderful. There's all sorts of different varieties. There's beef broth, chicken broth, seafood broth. I ate a lot of pho while I was over in Vietnam, and rightly so. The stuff is absolutely delicious, and it's even served for breakfast. In fact, that's when Vietnamese eat it a lot, they say, because it kind of warms the body and gets you going. Now, I really liked pho and Vietnamese food in general because, as you may know, I'm gluten-free. And a lot of Vietnamese food turns out to be gluten-free. Like pho uses rice noodles, The spring rolls use a rice paper type of wrapping. So if you're gluten-free like me or just avoiding wheat, Vietnam and Vietnamese food is really, really good. Another dish that really stood out was abalone. Now, I know the photo I took doesn't look that great, and it was actually kind of like next to a mushroom. And the abalone and the mushroom actually paired really well because they have a similar texture. Now, the abalone was really good. If you've never had it before, it's got an interesting taste. It's a really firm type of seafood, almost like a steak, but really, really good. And like I said, it paired well with that nice mushroom that they had served along with it. The most surprising thing, and one of the best things I ate in Vietnam, was ostrich. Now, I've had ostrich before. I think it was in a hamburger the last time I had it, kind of made into a patty. But this ostrich dish was delicious. It really reminded me of like a Szechuan beef in a Chinese type dish. This was thin cut, it had a nice pepper sauce, and it was so good. Again, this is something that I want to try to replicate here in my kitchen. I just need to find a place that sells ostrich meat that I can slice that thin. Now, we can't forget condiments, and in Vietnam I had a bunch of those, including one that I'd never had before, one that was called satay. And please forgive me if I'm butchering these names. If I'm not pronouncing it correctly, please put that in the comments below. As you may know, I really like hot condiments. A while back, in fact, I did a comparison of Korean gochujang to sriracha, that other famous pepper sauce. Well, satay is kind of like a melding of those two, and it's spicy, but it's also got kind of that sweetness. It's really, really good. It's so good, in fact, that as soon as I got back to Southern California, I went to my local Asian store and I bought a bottle. So sure enough, here it is, some satay. So I know this can be found in the States. If you want to try something that's even different from sriracha and gochujang, give this stuff a try. It's really good. And lastly, my favorite thing I ate was actually the last meal, and that was sugar pearl yogurt. I'd never heard of this stuff, but it was served at the breakfast buffet in my hotel, and it was so good. It almost reminded me of custard. It had that nice thickness to it. It was super sweet. And it was kind of like a boba tea with like these round orbs down at the bottom that were just delicious. I guess that's the black pearl of that. I knew nothing about this type of yogurt. If you've even heard of it, please let me know. Put something in the comments about it. And if you know where to find it in Southern California, please let me know because I really want to buy this stuff. It was so good. I also have to mention that at the breakfast buffet, they had these little mini bananas. And they taste, like regular bananas, but they're just mini. So I found some of those too at my local Asian grocer. And you can see they're just these little tiny baby bananas, but they taste really good and they're so cute. Okay, in reality, almost everything I ate in Vietnam was really good. A couple things I probably wouldn't go back for though. The first was this giant snail. Now, I've had escargot before and it's fine, Usually it's served in a lot of butter and garlic and you don't even know that you're eating a snail. This one too, honestly, it tasted more like chicken with like some lemongrass and maybe ginger. But I don't know, it was so big and, kind of digging in there and eating it. The texture isn't that great. So the giant snail that I had, I think we were in Hanoi at that part of the trip. Probably wasn't something that I would eat again. And actually the worst thing that I ate is probably going to come as a surprise, and it's not because of the food itself. It was a lobster that I had at a buffet. It's usually one of those decadencies. But this lobster, I think it was just either overcooked or what, but it was like super mealy. I literally had to take it out of my mouth. It was that bad. Now, again, usually lobster is wonderful. I love it, but it was just kind of the preparation. So, no fault on the food itself there. So that's kind of a quick culinary recap of my food adventures in Vietnam. Again, I would love to go back to the country. It was just so beautiful. It really is an amazing place. Everybody I met during my brief time there, I spent about a week, was just so friendly. And, even though we didn't really communicate the same language, you can always communicate through hand signals and, well, food. I loved really just kind of being excited about the food that these people were serving and really just kind of letting them know that I loved it. Let me know, next time I go to Vietnam, what should I eat? Is there something that, maybe I missed on this list that I have to go and try? Let me know in the comments below. As always, thanks for watching. We'll get back to the regular cooking and kind of the regular stuff in my next video, but I was just so excited about this trip and I wanted to share it with you. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Vietnam, baby!